Hey guys, I was born in 1919, truly a millennial here, and yes, I'm that old. And do you know what the first phrase my grandma said when my gender was finally revealed? She said, "Oh my poor little thing, I wish she was a boy, because this is a girl and was born for suffering." Yeah, it's not a joke. No. My grandma was not a psychic or some kind of time traveler, but she has been living in Soviets for her all entire life. She was a woman and she had a daughter, my mom, and she knew from the first person perspective how is life for women in Soviet Union. And this is the topic of our video today. And yes, I have been talking with my grandma a lot about life in Soviet Union as a woman, and I hope we will debunk a lot of lies today, and I hope Gen Z, modern Gen Z, who is propaganding life in Soviet Union all over the TikTok will listen me and will choose YouTube for content consumption, at least. Yes, they are propaganding the equality, and on paper and legally in Soviet Union life, of the women and men were equal and they had an equal rights. It's de jure. But de facto life was slightly different. Soviets actually talked about women like the horse with the balls.
Русская женщина. Это конь с яйцами.
Yes, guys, I don't know if YouTube will censor this video, but it was actually true. Guys, but before we start this video, please put thumbs up to it, so our algorithm know that we are existing, and for my brevity, because I'm sitting in my pajama second time in the row for talk video. Yes, and trolls are here, they are coming for me. Okay, but at least I put some makeup on, you know. Yes, equality. The rights of women and men were equal. And if women wanted to pursue a career on the plant, the only career they could have in Soviet Union, or maybe it will be collective households, they can run for it, because Soviet government gave all the rights to women. So there were no any women and men specialities. Women can work together with men and do really hard work that exhausted their bodies and mind. But in the reality, men were also suffering with toxic masculinity, you know, and after the shift was over, men and women came home, and men were relaxing because they're men, they did a great job today. However, women were ready for the second shift, and it was house chore and taking care about household and about their own husbands and children and about meal and doing dishes, etc. etc. My grandma always came from the shift at home and she did a dinner from scratch. There was no delivery in the Soviet Union, only in the filthy rich society that were party leaders, of course. And also she prepared food for the next day, for her, for children, and for grandfather. Yes, and when grandfather were sleeping already, she was still on and went to bed at 1 a.m., something like that. And next day she had to get up at 5 or 6 to put children in the kindergarten or in the school, and after go to start her shift on the plant. And it was day after day, day after day, and day after day. Of course, guys, not 100% of men were actually athletes, and were some normal individuality that help about the house to their women. But in majority, it was life as it is, where woman is working and working second shift at home. And they had no right to tire, because this was the life for every woman in Soviet society. Guys, want to take one pause here, and express my gratitude to everyone who's supporting these videos, who are sharing these videos to your family and friends, and who writes the comment. And if you want to contribute in the development of this YouTube platform and support Jane as a content creator, first of all, thank you very much. And second of all, please proceed to description of this video and find my Buy Me a Coffee page. I appreciate you guys, and let God be with you. You see well-dressed, beautiful, polished women that are doing meals from scratch, like breakfast, dinner, and evening meal. However, they are doing it without going to work. Soviet women needed to do it after their full-time job. And they did all the meal from scratch because of lack of the money and deficit and lack of delivery. And they, even if they had a delivery, they couldn't afford it, unfortunately. Guys, do not get me wrong. I'm not propaganding that the women should not work and pursue career. I'm having a full-time job. I'm working as hard as my husband is working. However, if we both are exhausted, we can lie down on the bed and do nothing just to allow our mental state and body to rest. However, women in Soviet Union had no such opportunity, unfortunately, because they had a lot on their shoulders. So why Soviets allow women to pursue career on the plant and industrial entities alongside the men? It's very easy to understand because it was an industrialization and famous Khrushchev phrase that we should chase and outcome America in 1954 was said, and Soviet Union needed their all working potential just to reach the level of America and to put some people into space and to roll their missiles and other vehicle. However, if America were a capitalist country and had a lot of trade relationships all over the world, no one wanted to have a relationship with the Soviet Union because it was a totalitarian country and it was not a good image. Only such countries who also had a totalitarian state actually negotiate with Soviet Union and helped with money or trade relationships, yes. And of course, do not forget that USA also gave them humanitarian aid after war because literally in the country it was famine, the second famine after the war. Yeah, and even in 1961 they weaponized the Bible phrase, "Who are not working, then shall not eat." And they created an article that punished people and put them into the jail if the person is not working for 4 months in the row. It was called tuniятство. I don't know how properly translated, but people were chased for not being at the job place. However, on the other hand, Soviet Union did not deny woman as a mother, as a wife, also and as an element of the decor that man can show to other people and it could underline his status. So they have published such a magazine like Selyanka, the village woman, or робітниця or работница in Russian. It was translated like a working woman, where they described the perfect role model image of Soviet woman. So according to the Soviet Union role model, women should be strong, they should have a good work on the plant and work for the plants. You know that Soviet Union had a plan of the production every 5 years. So women should contribute as well as men. Yes, and they were punished if this plan was not happening, Yes, and this woman should also look beautiful, and woman should have a children and strong family, be a mother, and mother her husband, of course, because husbands were raised in the way that there is a woman, mother or wife after, that will take care about the clothing that they're wearing and food that they will eat. And yes, these women cooked 3 meals from scratch.
Федя.
Ты на целый час раньше меня приходишь с работы. Что ты за это время еще сделала?
Now we are looking on celebrities, for example, Kardashian family, and we are wondering, wow, they are propaganding the unattainable beauty standards and misleading everyone. Yes, they are. But if we open this magazine, like Working Woman and Village Woman, like Християнка та робітниця, we will find out that these magazines were propaganding real cosmic, unattainable standards of womanhood at that time. Because Soviet women should be strong as a horse to raise the economy. They should deliver as many babies as they could, because after the Second World War, unfortunately, Soviet Union had lack of population. They had a demographic shortages because do you remember this famous Marshal Zhukov, the Marshal of the Victory? He did not care about people. His famous phrase that «Не жалейте мужиков, бабы еще нарожают». This is sounds in Russian, but it's translate like «Do not count the soldiers, because our women will deliver more and more babies». Yes, and this in the reality of lack of medical care, proper medical care. Yes, and Soviet women also after this should take care about house, about their husband, what clothing they will wear tomorrow, like prepare clothing for children and prepare food and be beautiful, shiny, and have a stylish clothing. But no one of this magazine explained how-to instructions because it was not attainable in the country with a huge deficit and poverty where you even cannot buy bra. My granny was creating sewing this bra in her sewing machine because there were no proper bra in the city mall or on the bazaar. And in the Soviet Union you could not buy the toilet paper without standing in the queue for 4 hours. So what we are talking about here? And of course in such circumstances with the lack of proper food, because mostly people in the Soviet Union were eating carbs, like fast carbs, because they could not afford normal food. And the lack of sleep, because 5 or 4 hours a day, it was not enough for women's body. And also because of hard work, women in their 30s were looking like women in their 50s. And even women and wives of party leaders were not able to endure such conditions. For example, wife of the Stalin, her name was, if I'm not mistaken, Nadia Alliluyeva. Yes, she made a suicide because of such life. She was only 32 years old, I guess. So what we are talking about and how regular women could survive in such circumstances, mentally normal. And guys, such mental condition as depression was not existing in Soviet Union. And speaking about childbirth, I have been talking to my grandma and she's still remembering this time with the fear and with the painful appearance on her face, because the treatment in the hospital where women were given birth and actually treatment from the doctors and nurses as to the person were terrible, guys. First of all, women were taught that they should not give birth without a marriage, and this is biblically correctly, and of course you have an intimate relationship after the marriage if you are Christians. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm a correct person because I was turning to God only at the age of 25 and I have done a lot of mistakes. However, if we are saying about ideal life, like perfect life, then only after marriage. However, at the age of 25 or 28, if you were not married, you officially gained the status as it called in the Russia starorodяща, or I've said it in Ukrainian already. Yes, it geriatric childbirth. Could you imagine, in Soviet Union, when woman is 28 years old, she already too old to give a birth. And if she had some complication because of, not obviously her age, but because of the attitude in the hospital and lack of medication, this case were not even investigated. If woman died in such labor, they just say, oh, it's complication because she's too old. Yes, so even being too old, you were put in the hospital, and government only took care about hospitals with the conditions like vessels conditions or heart diseases or something else, and they considered childbirth and labor as a normal natural situation. These hospitals were not getting enough foundation and money for development, for proper painkillers, for anesthesia. My grandma delivered birth without anesthesia, and women till the 1970 even did not know that such approach existed. Doctors and nurses were receiving very, very small salaries. They had a lot of workload, and these women that were doctors and nurses were mostly female, because male were put somewhere on the bigger positions. So yes, and these women also had the same duties at home and same exact situations and issues, and they were always annoyed and angry because they were tired, guys.
Что так и будете языком работать или закажете что? У меня нет времени с вами тут, вон вас сколько. Говорите быстро, чего будете заказывать. 5 минут потерпеть не можете.
Ой, девушка, пятно, смотрите.
Эти пятна не очищаются, аккуратнее носить надо.
Exhausted emotionally and physically. And the attitude to the women were like that they considered them not as a patients, but as something they need to get rid of more quickly.
Я не понимаю. Ты такая дура или ты прикидываешься?
Почему вы так со мной разговариваете?
Speaking about contraception in Soviet Union, my granny told me that it did exist. Wow. Yes, and it was barrier contraception as a condoms. I'm not speaking it loud because YouTube can censor this video. Yes, however, it was in deficit, and only actually in big city you had an opportunity to buy it in the pharmacy. In all other cities, you had no such opportunity. And the second issue is to convince your husband actually to use it. And unfortunately, my grandma confessed that for many women in the Soviet Union, the only way of contraception, like contraception and not having a kid, was, and they were legal in Soviet Union since, I guess, 1950s. However, if they even were legal, it was unspoken request from NKVD, secret police, to do abortion maximum painful for women, to make them think twice before going to another procedure, because NKVD and party wanted as many kids were born as possible. So this procedure were without anesthesia, without any painkillers, like it was life procedure, and many women had a lot of complication and infertility issues after this. And I know that a lot of Christians are watching this video. I know this is a sensitive topic, and I need to confess that I'm not pro-choice. I will explain. If you're able, like consensual personality, and your body is fully healthy, and you had a contact with any partner, even with your husband, and you did not give a thought about the consequences of this contact, and you faced with consequences. So, in this case, you need to face it till the very end and deliver this baby to the world. However, if it was, or if your body had a certain condition that you can probably die in 90% of the cases in the labor, then you should consider. This is only my thought. Please do not cancel me. It's just a personal opinion. I'm not propaganding anything. And I'm not classically like pro-life person, because I think about prevention always. If you know that you have no any economical and financial opportunities to raise the baby, you need to think in advance about consequences. And you need to prevent it before it happens. But if you faced and it was consensual and your body is 100% able, 100% healthy, then please face the consequences. Just this is my opinion, guys. I'm sorry for expressing it. It's just my personal opinion, and you can disagree or agree with this. And we are not talking even about, because there in the Soviet Union, it was a phrase: if he beaten you, then he loves you. Bije значит любе. This is in Ukrainian. And police in the Soviet Union had also a lot of the cases of the homicide, and NKVD was busy to catch all the political prison and put them in the torture chamber. Then they had no time to resolve like domestic violence cases, and a lot of like men were beating their women and were abusing them. Now we know what does it mean, domestic, like economical or mental, but then these words were not existent in criminal court, even in administrative court, guys. And unfortunately, due to such social perceptions, many Western men still believe that traditional gender roles in Ukraine will benefit them personally. This has led to the rise of the popularity of dating agencies that promote Ukrainian women as traditional wives.
Women on the West are too emancipated. They just not feminine anymore. They don't take care of them so much as our women do.
But no sending hates to these guys, no criticism towards this seeking meaningful relationships and building families for right reason. But some of the narratives being spread on YouTube seems somewhat questionable. If you have a good intentions, if your relationship is healthy, consensual and good and you have a strong bonds, go for it. But if you are searching for the wife only to have a multi-tool that will cook, clean, like looking good, contribute financially, and also will please you at night, unfortunately, I think that it's not good intention. Yes, do not weaponize our trauma against us, guys. And I'm not saying that everyone, all men are like that. No, of course no. I have a good husband and I have a lot of girlfriends that have totally healthy relationships, and I'm sure that you are watching me and you are also good healthy men with good paternal behavior. I don't know how to express it in English. And maybe this video will explain a bit why Soviet women wanted foreign men and marry foreign men so hard, because they wanted to escape this slavery so much. Of course, it was not also good to seek for their husband only to escape, but they had no choice. We should not blame them right now. Guys, and if you are married, it's good. Please help your wife and she will cook good and healthy food for you, and I'm sure she will be happy to do it. So guys, thank you for watching this video till the very end. Please do not judge me very severely. I'm just transferring my experience and my talks with my grandma. She have taught me a lot. Yeah guys, and please put thumbs up this video and put a comment for the algorithm, and shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.